Right, getting back, sorry for the delays, getting back to what I was saying, I found a coin, and the back, here's the back thingy, you've got your two little screws, brass screws. Look at the state of that. It's immaculate. It's as if it's come out of the factory. There's the inside. This was made in England, not made in China, made in good old England. Turn it round and let's have a little look inside. Oops. There we are. What I've done, the proper battery for this is a Pt.2. I don't know what the American equivalent is, but they're quite hard to get now. So someone previous to me substituted the larger clips or connectors for the smaller 9 volt, it's a 6F22. It's got various names, but this is quite a normal size battery. It's 9 volts and it does the job. But what I will do is to make up a little box to fit in the space where the original battery would have gone in, which is in there under that clip. That fitted in that space there. So I make up a little box and put some rechargeables in and solder on the original clips. It will make it as authentic as I can. Now when I look at the bits that are in there, I'll try and, if I can prop it up, hold on, let me find a way of propping it up. There we are. It's always interesting, whenever I see videos of interesting things, I say to myself, well, let's hope they've shown what's inside and done a little explanation. Needless to say, a lot of you know what these parts are, but for those that don't, I'll include it. The first part here, as you see, is the tuning capacitor. This is the part which tunes in to the correct frequency for your actual stations. Now the signal is received via these coils which are wound on a ferrite rod. That is your internal aerial. This set has got an external aerial. So if you were, in the old days, they used to take these with them in the car, and in those days often cars didn't have radios built in, and you'd plug the aerial socket in that's connected to the car, and that would go in that socket round the side, a little socket there, and you'd feed the signal in. Now this was built on the superheterodyne principle. Now superhet was really pioneered during the First World War in the trenches in France, Belgium, and the gentleman that done this was Mr. Armstrong, a very clever man. He was American. He lived in New York. He lived in one of the multi-story apartments, which is rather sad, which I'll explain later. He devised a way of beating two frequencies together and getting a resultant frequency. Now I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of it, but suffice to say that you have an oscillator coil, which is that one there, which I'm pointing to with the pencil, and intermediate frequency transformers, and these are actually tunable. I'm not going to touch them because they're set, and the only way to set them up is to have the proper gear. These fortunately are okay. A tip here, if you ever buy one of these sets, I actually missed out, there's another one inside there. I'm going to say we're a bit short, there's normally 3. There's the third one at the back. Where's my pencil? There, at the back there is the third one. And they're the intermediate frequency transformers. There's simply transform former windings, and in the centre of them is a ferrite slug, which is screwable. When I say it's screwable, it means you can raise it or lower it with a special trimming tool. But as I say, this can only be done if you've got the correct gear, signal generator, valve output meter, valve voltmeter or transistorized voltmeter or high impedance voltmeter. It is quite involved, so I wouldn't suggest tampering about with it because you're going to ruin it. The little wafer switch at the back there is your wave bands, the on-off and wave bands. Let's see if I can make it operate. You might just see it move, I don't know. As you can see, of course I'll turn it on, it comes on. So there are your switches, your on-off switch, and long wave and medium wave. I mentioned it uses 7 transistors. As you know, the transistor as we know it was invented in the early 50s, might even been before that, by the Bell Labs in America, and the original ones were germanium, which these ones are. There's an example of the transistors. Those little pink things are transistors. They're the output pair, and that's the driver. The transformer's at the back there. It's a transformerless output, which means the speaker is fed direct from the output pair of transistors. Saves on money and on copper.